TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark-sided!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. I'm excited and delighted to be with you guys, as always, for another episode, man, where we cover all things spiritual. We leave no stone unturned. We're going to have a good conversation tonight. It's going to be really good. My guest today is Roccomoon, a.k.a. Rocco Nugent. It's going to be a good talk, and we're going to cover his story, talk about spirituality, all those cool things in between. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting my work via Patreon. This is a listener-supported, listener-funded show. Doesn't exist without your help. So just want to say a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the new patrons within the last week or so. Shout out to Christine Moore with Thriving in Recovery, Daryl Johnson, Becky Taylor, True Bros Gaming, David Bodras, and Lydia. And thank you guys for coming on and believing in the work. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is 200 plus songs. You also get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, my guided meditations, breathwork sessions on Sunday morning, all that cool stuff. So make sure you guys check it out. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Also, what we got going on coming up, we're going to be doing the Reset, Refresh, and Renew retreat coming up in Mobile, Alabama in November. For those of you who are wanting to be a part of that, it will be with myself and Illuminati Congo. So for those of you guys who have wanted to tap in to one of those, Illuminati Congo will be joining me on this one. So it's going to be really good. Super excited about them. All of them have been beautiful, and just the different people that we're rocking with, and being able to see people in the flesh and meet people that's been in the community for a while. So make sure you check that out. Go to TruthSeekah.com to get more info on that. We do Kundalini yoga, breath work, cacao ceremony, CE5 stargazing, making contact with the fifth kind. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just have a beautiful time to remember, and connecting with like-minded individuals. Also, man, I get so many updates. You really just got to go to the website. I'm launching the Path of the Healer course again for those of you who want to do an 8-week program with me to launch out and be able to do one-on-one sessions, online coaching and counseling, and Reiki, whatever modality you want to add to it. All that info is at the website as well. New album is about to drop called White Magic. So I've been working on that for a while, and I just finished up the last track today. I got the last sample in place and got the last mix down, and it sounds great. So everybody who has pre-ordered it over at TruthSeekah.com, you're going to get an email with all of the tracks for you to listen to before it's available to the general public. So make sure you check that out. And for those of you who don't know, those songs have already been available for months over there on Patreon. So make sure you guys check that out. And TruthSeekah.com, Patreon, all that good stuff. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into today's discussion. My guest today is, again, Roccomoon, a.k.a. Rocco Nugent, Ted Nugent's son. Bro, what's going on, man? How are you?
Blessings, bro. Glad to be here.
Bless.
Yeah.
Good to have you, man.
Thanks for emitting the signals that you emit. And I'm glad that we emitted similar to a line here today.
Yeah, for sure. So we met through Dr. Charnel, who is like connecting a lot of people, which is really cool. So we did a roundtable discussion with her, which was fun. And we had just got over COVID. Me and my wife, we went through it. We had all the breathing, like it was the scary stuff. We ended up losing a lot of people within a week that we knew. About eight people. Some of them really close. Some of them friends, fathers, and somebody else's friend's father, and like just people in our circles and stuff. And it hurt, man. Being empathic and carrying that weight, and then we started having we was crying a lot, hyperventilating a lot, just processing all that pain, and it hurt. And we sat down on that round table, me, you, and a couple other people, and as soon as I sat down, man, I started having like heart palpitations, like really bad. Like my heart started racing, going like 111 beats per minute, and started getting kind of dizzy just sitting here, just out of nowhere. And it happened before in the middle of the night, and like that fear tries to overtake you because like that's a symptom of long-term COVID or whatever the case is, and you could have long-term damage and all that stuff racing in your head. And there's anxiety, and you're processing, helping people cross, and grieving mothers and friends who aren't here anymore. A lot of energy, man. And that hit me as soon as I sat down. My heart was racing, and we're all giving our little bios. Hey, I'm TruthSeekah. Hey, I'm Rocco. And it was my turn. And I'm doing my best just to like pace myself and breath work and sage and, you know what I'm saying, Palo Santo. And it was my turn. I was like, can we shift some energy? I'm needing some energy right now, guys. I'm not feeling it. I'm going through some stuff in my body, and the world is going through stuff as well. Can you guys shift some energy, and can we say a prayer or something? And when I did, I felt that when I said that, I know it really connected with you, and I just seen that you just begin to kind of like do warfare for me, man, and just send me energy and bliss. And I just connected with you as soon as I said that. I was like, okay. I've got one who's on my side, who's fighting with me. And I was like, yeah, we gotta do something, man. So that was how we met, and and here we are.
Wow, thank you for sharing and articulating those kind of subtle, components of what was happening for you behind the screen. I saw and felt as much as I did, and glad it was felt and received. And thanks also for dropping into that level of vulnerability to share and not keep up podcast attitude, character, and just like, this is what is currently for real.
And that's what it is, authenticity. When you're struggling. Like, it was hard for me to do that episode, but I did more. That's what I do. It's like I'd be crying on people's podcasts, crying on my podcast and stuff, and it's like should you take a break? Like, you're going through a lot of stuff, man. Should you take a break? But it's like, no, this is authentic. Like, this is what I'm dealing with. This is real. And there's people, that's not real. It's not even real. All this crazy stuff going on. I'm like, listen, this is real. What I'm going through, this is real life. Like, 8 people dead. Am I next? You know what I'm saying? All of these fears and stuff. Man.
Where are you geographically?
I'm in the South. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. So,
gotcha.
It hit us pretty hard, like really quick, because we're like Bible Belt. It's not real. Most people think it's not real, that kind of stuff. And it became, it's not real until it hits you, though, right? Anything. And we could just even move on to another subject, but like your spirituality, the bliss that you encounter with it, like, life isn't real until you encounter it on life's terms, right?
Factual. And then, I mean, let me know if you want to steer away, but I feel my heart kind of just magnetized to like put a lantern on it. interested to like know, and again, yeah, like let me know if you don't want to do it now, but interested to know like what is your perception of what is molecularly happening that shows up as COVID, and how is that different from the molecular, again, like nervous system, just straight up like how the biology receives it as a flu, as like a really intense flu. And then how would you notice like the psychological difference as well because of the times that we're in, and because of, you know, all the other kind of psychic energy that's with that.
Yeah, I mean, you got everything on top of it, like, you know, so it ain't just one thing. It's like okay, if you have the flu and you're not operating at, you know, you know what I'm saying, top performance, and you're fighting the flu, you're already under the weather, if that's what it is, what people believe. But then you got all this other stuff on top of it. Yeah, my grandfather,
Which is a lot,
my,
which is a lot of psychic.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's like,
no, just it's you know, and I talked to Charnel. She's in chat. Shout out to Charnel. She was like, Derek, like most professionals say, like to lose one person it's hard, or to lose one friend, but to lose 7, to lose 8, like that quick, like, yeah, you know, and us being, I think, being very empathic, like we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We help people process trauma, and if we don't release it, then we carry it on ourselves. And so dealing with grieving mothers, man, children who lost their fathers, like, and it's hard. So that's on top of it. That's on top of any sickness. Like, let's just get that sickness out the way that never visited me. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say we're just dealing with that grief. Like, that's got the power to take you out and make you susceptible and vulnerable as well, you know?
John, brother. Man, I think it's
I just want to watch. I just want, you know, I don't want to say too much on the, you know, we're on YouTube and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Steer us away if called. But yeah, I just think it's one of the more fascinating things happening in the world, because, you know, experience is experience, and then interpretation, and then how I think I'm very interested in how geographical subcultures augment the interpretation of these kind of cultural events. I'm very fascinated in the.
Yeah,
well, I still very much. Yeah,
I don't want to cut you off. I wrote a piece for a friend of mine's book. He wrote a book called Peace in the Pandemic. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, listen, like, he looks up to me as a musician, as a teacher, and all this stuff. It's like, listen, I'll write it, but I don't know if you're gonna like it, you know. And most of it was steering away from conspiracies, and that's how I found peace. That's how I was led to navigate, to maintain what little peace that I have in it, and to fight for it and protect it. I would say protect your peace, to be vigilant over it, of people and memes and bots and people who are lashing out. Like, you know, one thing I did talk about on that round table was the fans lashing out at me, who have a different narrative of what's going on, and then it's against my experiences, against their narrative. So they're just, TruthSeekah, we're giving up on you, man. You're one of them. You know, I'm like, hey, man, I got a new album coming out. I was like, damn, I don't even need to talk about it. I'm trying to sell CDs, and I'm losing fans trying to be authentic. Then it was like, you know what? Damn that. You know what I'm saying? Damn, trying to sell a CD or whatever. Listen, this is authentic. This is what I'm going through. This is my experience, and it may be different than yours, but, you know, it's my story, and I honor that, man. Whether whoever's narrative, I like to trace the psychology behind it. Like you, like, let me know why you believe that. Why do you think that this is going on? Why do you think that you got? I don't want to even throw theories out there, because they're gonna pull us, man. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hear you. We'll follow up with that, I'm sure, more as it comes.
Yeah, we'll do something. We might do a lot of those fans, they just want me to speak to it again. I think it's against their narrative, so maybe they don't want me to speak to it. That's why I just like, I stay in my lane. I'm seeking peace in the pandemic. I'm still seeking peace. You know, that's
that's a nice segue. There's like, I think those of us right now who have been initiated to even minor degrees on the path of seeking, call it alignment, call it metaphysical insight, call it spiritual awakening, call it truth realization, whatever. And there's many that are like, I see polarized towards wanting wellness even more than before. Like this whole pandemic has shifted them into like, all right, I might've taken it serious to some extent, and it's kind of kicked others up into the gear. And not even to get into the gradients, because in this polarity, there's definitely gradients in the scale. But then there's also others that I'm sure you've seen, the kind of the matrix minions, we'll call them, which I call them chaos shamans. And I feel like you have a wild level of context that I don't normally get to dive in with folks on that stuff. But following your skipper with this boat here. But seeing, yeah, many of us kind of like, you know, more polarity towards wellness and awareness of these things that are not serving our wellness, because this hyperinflammation of awareness to, you know, the kind of don't take your health for granted kind of thing. And then there's also this large amount of the community, you know, call them agents or whatever you want to call them, but it's like more now than ever, they're attracted to dissonance. They're attracted to this friction that comes from interpersonal arguing, that comes from, you know, I call it time-based identity hierarchy, meaning it's the ego, but it's like minds that need to interact with other people firsthand and get a sense of if they're right or wrong. They need that polarization.
Oh my God.
Like,
I'm staying away from it. I don't want it.
It's very, man, I hear you.
Because like, I hear you. I hear your story. I watch a lot of your videos and stuff, and like, I hear you talk about like a religious background as well, like a just regular Christian kind of upbringing. And I was hardcore Christian, street preacher. Like I studied under many different sects of Christianity: Black Hebrew Israelites, Reformed Baptists, Charismatic, Miracle, Signs and Wonder. Like I've been through it all. And I used to debate and, what do you believe about the cross of Christ? What do you believe about salvation? And like, if you were off or whatever, we'd beat you up with the Bible kind of thing. So I've stayed away from that on this side of awakening, like, because of, I didn't like the person that I was and the way that I did things. And so, I had a lot of Christians who did that to me as well. Like they would keep picking my brain until they found something like that we disagreed on. Okay. Man, so what do you, just
happened to me the other day.
So what do you believe about this? And we'll agree on everything. Boom, boom, boom. I was like, wow, I got a new friend and we can break the scriptures down together. But do you think Jesus was God or was he the son of God? Oh, I think he was the son of God. You know, I think he was, you know, God's son manifested on earth. I don't think God left his throne and became a man. And, oh yeah, well, we can't be friends. I'm like, oh God, that's what you were waiting for? Like you were asked, I had to answer all these questions until
it was all a funnel. It's like a funnel of like, the test is all testing. What else do you not know?
And I'm catching that from the spiritual new age or open community that embraces everybody. And it's like, okay, what do you think about the LGBTQ movement? I try not to think too much about it. Like I'm not in that movement. Like I'm a straight male.
It's like
we need like to know. It's like, oh God.
It's like a passive pulling on our like social identity template. It's like they want to see it. They want to see the mind. They want to be able to measure it and catalog. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you though? What about this? What about that? Man, I love to get your lens on a phenomenon
that though. We're like, that's not, we're a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Eastern mysticism, a little bit of old school Southern Baptist, like a little bit of Pentecostal, crazy charismatic. We're all of it, and it's okay. That's what it is.
So what I see that is as like, how could we, not for needing to put labels on, but how could we identify what's happening there in someone like, let's just use these two, for example. We seem to be magnetized to harmony. And in interpersonal, cross-cultural kind of relating, we see that it's, there's the seed of the one infinite truth in many different kind of interpretations, but all of a sudden you get hyper rigid in that identity and you kind of close off to the seed that the following is built on anyway. And what you're talking about is like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. I see that as a reflection of the nature of consciousness in a higher kind of crystallinity, which is mirror consciousness. I see it as it wants to be reflective with us, because to do that means, I think that's what you're pointing at with empathy, as a nervous system. When someone's emotional intelligence kind of determines their level of ability to mirror another one's emotional state in the respect of like wanting to aid them and holding that space. Sidebar on mirror consciousness. There's a online course that I'm releasing soon that it's basically The last online course I did was called Moon Alchemy Program, and it's basically Moon is missing out on nothing, which is the remedy for FOMO. And FOMO is the feeling of missing out, which is separation consciousness. Moon Alchemy is pretty much Christ Consciousness 101. The Mirror Alchemy course is like Mirror Consciousness 101, which I found to be very pragmatic and utilitarian. Those are the two words: pragmatic, utilitarian awakening. And so that quick sidebar on Mirror Consciousness that you just pointed at, shameless plug. But swerve back over to this other thing that you started looking at the archetype of it. And I'm interested to know what you noticed, because obviously we have some differences in our journey, but also some interesting mirrors as well. Hip hop, Christianity, pigments, a handful of things, it seems like so far. So there's like several humans in my life right now that I'll say a couple checkpoints. Since Jesus is King got released, since this pandemic situation, and sure there's another one, but those kind of two in particular, they've come into several humans that I know of personally have started like doing this thing that all I can see it as is spiritual tribalism. And it's like there's more now than it seems like. I don't know, it just seems like it keeps getting intenser and intenser. Is it those in third density are like wanting? Do you have context on the law of one and the raw material and the densities?
Very little, yeah.
Basically, first density is the elements: earth, fire, water, wind, akash, ether, air. Second density, animals and plants. Third density is humans. Fourth density, love. Fifth density, wisdom. So kind of Yeshua, Buddha archetypes. And then sixth and seventh are integrations of those. And then 8, you start again, whatever. But it's like seeing this kind of tribalism around spirituality in these several humans. I have such a really close relationship to Yeshua. I feel like I know him more than when someone starts sometimes reciting Bible verses. I see them going secondhand, or two stones throw away from the one who actually threw the stone. And my relationship has been with him directly, and all the scriptures that zoom in on that. But there's recently been this thing that's happening where it's like people are using Jesus as this sword to like guilt trip other people that don't think Jesus is the one and only way. I saw this meme that says, yoga, not God; crystals, not God; astrology, not God. And I heard a couple of audio snippets on your intro here. So curious to hear how you interface with that, or what you perceive that is on a quantum level, on an anthropological level, on an akashic level. How do you interface with that? Because it's been feeling like a glitch in the matrix for me.
Well, that's weird because it's always been there for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because as far as like being a Christian and being one who you have to convert people. Like, that's the Great Commission, to go out into all
proselytizing.
The world. You have to proselytize. And what's been something beautiful as of lately, there's two ways to look at it. Is that the something I've been pondering, and I heard it on another podcast. Tahuti from the Killer Priest podcast shared it, but he talked about the idea of proselytizing and let's just say Jehovah's Witnesses. It's still a derivative of Christianity or whatever, and we have to share the gospel. People are dying and going to hell, and you're going to burn forever. So like, you got to understand, like, their motive is trying to do a good deed. Like, I don't want Rocco. I love Rocco. I don't want him to burn forever. Like, they're convinced, right? So that sword play, that me trying to cut you down, that battle is if I can win, you know what I'm saying? If I can beat you, then my truth is superior. And so there's some battle intellect and philosophy going on there, but it's also the other people who are really think that you're going to die and go to hell. And me too. And so they're proselytizing. But when it comes to maybe how it should be done, we look at where Christianity comes from, and this is where I come in, what I bring to the table, understanding where Christianity comes from. It's an Eastern tradition. Christianity comes from the East, and we look at it like it's a new religion in the West. We have to look back to the East. And so we see people meditating. We see holy men and people like Jesus going up on top of mountains to pray for hours, to go inside of caves. They do that in the Himalayas, like to separate themselves, to fast and pray, to get them to have an encounter with God, have an encounter with their ancestors, the angels, whoever, and they come back enlightenment, like the death of the ego, this inner journey that they pull away. Jesus is known for doing those fasts all the time, going away for hours and end to pray and these kind of things. And when you come back down from the mountain, let's just say that 40 days later, and you've reached enlightenment, you fought the devil and won, right? Jesus did that. And so the idea would be people would seek you out. Let's go see the holy man. Listen, I'm trying to get to the end of my ego. I have things that are addictions in my life and personality traits that's killing me, and I need help. Like, you would seek out the holy man versus the holy man coming down from the mountain. Everyone, enlightenment, I'm going to share, let me tell, and like trying to go knock on people's door. Hey, I just come off the mountain and I've encountered God. No, you hear the story about the holy man who comes down and you seek him out. So that idea of not having to proselytize, but that you would go and seek out that man is pretty interesting when it comes to Eastern thought. Or even, I'm going to throw this in there, and it doesn't help with symbolism on my shirt tonight, but Masonic lodges. But the way that they operate, the Masons aren't coming knock on your door this Saturday morning. Hello, Rocco, you home? I want to tell you about the Grand Master Lodge. We're looking for new members. You'd be a good candidate. They're not doing that. You have to do your own research, find a book, know a coworker who's like, man, this guy's pretty devout. He's just a genuine good guy. Hey, what is it? Oh, well, we have lodge sessions, and you have to come upon your own volition, on your own free will. You have to ask them. It's in their rule book. They can't, hey man, come to our lodge, come to our youth group, bro. Come see our church, bro. We got smoke machines and fogs, and Skillet's gonna be there, and Toby Mac. No, you have to seek them out and say, hey man, I notice the way you live and the way you treat your wife and the way you treat not just your wife. I noticed the way that you treat your friend's wife, and you don't try to hit on her, and you don't try to sleep with other people's. Like, I just noticed the way you do life, and I want to know more. And it's like, hold on, like when it comes to proselytizing, I think that we should lead by example, so that what the scriptures talk about, that the world may see your good deeds and your good works, and your philosophy and your yoga and the way you take care of your body and the way you take care of your family and the way you get to wake up and do what you love for a living. And then like, hey man, listen, hey, how do you run a good podcast? Like, they'll come to me. I don't have to sell you, hey, here's how to listen to a good, no, hey, how you do it? Okay, let me teach you. Right? And so you seek out that person, you seek out that coach, you seek out that master. So, and I know that's, it kind of trailed off on that, but for me it's nothing new. It's always been there. And the beauty of what I do is connecting Western Christianity, or just what we know it to be now, because just anybody knows, to the esoteric, to the occult, to the Eastern mysticism, to Kundalini yoga, to the Kundalini, to the pranayama, to the chi and tachyon energy, and communing and feeling that bliss that enters your body and burns within you and cleans out all the wrong that you've ever done. Like, is this happening in a church? Well, it's happening in temples, and is it the same thing? So syncretism is very near and dear to my heart when it comes to all of the different modalities, if you will. We're saying the same thing, just using different terms,
Yeah, that part. That's it.
So I'm with it. So I don't know if you know
Yeah.
much about what I do, but yeah.
I mean, man, I'm still learning, but I see you showing up in a variety of capes, and I like them. I'm in full agreement of that kind of wisdom passing, needing to be in that orientation. You can't. It's a teacher showed it to me. It's like, it actually pulls on the Akashic field differently when a student is seeking when a student is seeking upstream. It's like it creates this pressure or this dam, and it makes them kind of more intense in their identity that's aware that they're seeking, and it acknowledges that. And so this humbleness kind of immediately kicks in because you're seeking it from somewhere. Versus as if the teacher was trying to recruit you, it's like the water's already flowing downhill. That's a kind of secondary redundant energy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we're saying the same thing.
And obviously it works both ways. It's not to say it's only this way. You know what I'm saying?
It's different.
Yeah. But also, if you haven't watched this, there's a good short clip that I talk about a lot, but it's from Penn Jillette. You know who that is? The magician. He's a staunch atheist. Like, disproves the Bible. The Bible is BS. Like, he's the in-your-face atheist, and he's from Penn and Teller. They do the magic shows in Vegas and stuff. So he's like in your face. The Bible is a myth. It's for uneducated people. That kind of stuff. Well, he did just a little video on camera. He just took his cell phone in a hotel after one night of on the road or whatever, and he shared this experience where this guy, after his performance in Vegas, I guess, comes up to him and says, shakes his hand. Hey, my name is so-and-so. Just wanted to say I appreciate your work. I love what you do. And if the guy knows him at all, he knows how big and bad of an atheist he is. But he says, hey, I just wanted to give you this. And he hands him a little Gideon's Bible. He says, I just wanted to give you this, man. And if you have any questions, just give me a call. My number's in the back there. And it touched Penn. He went back to the hotel and kind of vlogged it and was like, you know what, it touched me because this guy was taking a chance. If he knows anything about me, he knows I'll eat his lunch. Like, I'll make this Christian look like a fool, and he most likely would have. But he said that guy was willing to take a chance because he really cared about me. Like, the fact that those Christians think that you're going to hell, like, he could have took his Bible with him and gave it to somebody else, but he said, you know what, I'm gonna give it to Penn. And so with tears in his eyes, in that video, Penn says that, listen, I don't respect any Christian or any religion that doesn't proselytize. Because if you think I'm going to hell for all of eternity and I don't know it, and there's a way that you can save me and you won't tell me because of fear of getting into a confrontation with me, or fear of losing me as a friend, and now it being awkward every time we see each other. And he's like, I don't respect you. You have to be one of the most cold-hearted individuals who walk the face of a planet, who know that everyone around you is going to go to hell forever and be tormented. And because you don't like to get into it about, I don't talk religion, but you think they're going to hell. Like, now when you think of those dudes in the streets with the signs, and some of them do it a different way. Queers go to hell. All gays go to hell. It's not the best approach, but a lot of times it's the best we know. We can cover the most ground by doing this because they so-called really believe that everybody's going to hell. So you got to respect it. It's like it balances things out too, I think. Like, I'm thankful for those guys doing that, and like I can reach it. And even if I would receive it differently. Like, to be straight up with you, I miss it. That most of my Christian friends will say, fuck you, TruthSeekah. Like, we're going to give you over to the devil. You know what I'm saying? I was a Christian minister. Like, yeah, there's no saving him. He's too far gone, guys. Like, I get that all the time. He's too far gone. He knows the Bible better than me. And they won't reach out to you because of fear of confrontation. And it's like, damn. Like, I wish you cared about me enough to say, hey, man, you into some weird stuff, dude. I don't understand it, and I think you're headed down the wrong path. You don't get that. You just get a block or unfollow, and they'll never talk to you again and just write you off as one of those guys. And so here's the full circle of, do you proselytize? Do you share? How pushy should you be with it? And that's just, I've been in it all. You know what I'm saying? So.
Wow, what a beautiful kind of alternative angle on that same node. Thank you for illuminating that. the first place it takes me is looking at, honestly, I think it's my pain body, or at least how I interface with the understanding of what trauma is.
Yeah.
It's in my auric field as a remnant of a wrong use of energy at some point, or a non-aligned moment that happened, and then it's part of my geometry, the geometry of my prism that I see through and that I witness this world through. So I grew up watching my dad basically do his own proselytizing. But also there was something interesting about it where, promo and marketing is a thing. And then also being planted in, it's kind of like the metaphor of like a trampoline, and you put a bowling ball in the center of it, and anything that has lesser gravitational weight or whatever, it's like it'll go towards that. Like, somebody really heavy sits next to you on a trampoline, all of a sudden you start rolling into them. And I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was kind of observing how that happened in my father's life, because he was so intense that it just happened. It would pull things. But other people that were just as intense, they didn't come near. They held their own space. They had their own life. And then I just didn't make sense to my heart. I departed being a Christian in 2012. And then I think I found about the Council of Nicaea, and like I was like, Romans, this phrase just kept hitting me. It's like Romans raped Yeshua's story. And I started to just notice when someone was giving me true Yeshua signal, which is the Christ, or the crystalline, the Christos, the Sophia, the merger of the soul's awareness into the body as the sun or solar essence of the infinite. And I could feel when that was there, and then I could feel when it was Rome, or I felt like I was like, wow, that's Rome. That's Rome's Christian stuff. That's the Council of Nicaea's edited biblical version of what Yeshua did. So Yeshua's signal is still in there. But I was like, man, it seems so glitchy. It's like trying to watch a bootleg of Harry Potter. You're like, I get the story, but it's like, I'm missing so. I know I'm missing so much. There's so many cool effects that I want to see that's blurry here. It's not coming in full clarity. And interestingly, those people, for me, never felt like, I've interfaced with a handful of Christians that are just like, I know God's love. And I'm like, I love that. You're lit. Let's do it. And I'm with that. And there's other ones that it felt like they didn't know, and they were clinging to this doctrine or this idea of this dude out of fear, really. And it felt like thirsty. It felt like needy. It felt like clingy. It felt like it weren't strong. Is it working? I saw this stat this one time. It was like, what religions are most popular in the places where there's highest suicide attempts and highest depression? And Christianity interfaces with the Western world. Very interestingly, Christianity interfaces with people who are very polarized into emphasizing goodness and then denouncing badness within themselves. And then I found, honestly, Steve Jobs mentioned Yogananda, Autobiography of Yogi. Read that, find this yoga teacher, start asking him questions. And he would push me away almost sometimes. And it was almost like this story I read about this Zen master or whatever, like the guy wants to come and learn, and he like sits outside at the door and he waits. And like, he says, this master, you're a famous master, can you please teach me? He's like, no. It's silent treatment, whatever. And like keeps walking and going, leaving his house. And then 6 months later, he gives him a broom and says, you can start sweeping if you really want to learn something. And then 6 months later, he's like, all right, you're still here. I'll teach you. And just long story short, as an anecdote, it's like a very different relationship with knowingness and needing to push knowingness or conviction, one's own conviction, on someone else, quote unquote. Just how you kind of phrased it is like very interesting to me. But it's such a different polarity with solar and lunar. I've interfaced with that kind of looking at people's energy fields or the culture, like that's very solar, or like, wow, that's very lunar. That's someone could be hyper receptive but not very assertive. Someone could be hyper assertive but not really receptive. My pop's pretty darn assertive. The receptivity thing, I was like, I think maybe I'm supposed to learn about the things that he didn't necessarily master. He did this other shit like really well.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a couple of things from me over here. And man, one more anecdote. It was kind of like, I think I actually shared it on the other talk we had, but it was for me this click moment in my, I see it as my auric field or my Merkavik structure. My crystallinity had a very tactile, anchored, landed moment of genuine realization and understanding. It couldn't have came from nobody telling me nothing. It had to be an experience within myself. And it was at one of my pop shows. Go outside, there's animal rights protesters. They're like, he's an animal murderer. Probably like 10 or so of them with pictures of my father with like blood and animals. And, you know, I grew up hunting. I understand it's pretty traumatic and it's very normal for a lot of people. And if you're going to eat meat, I think that's actually a much more reasonable way to know where it's coming from. I digress. But I walk up to these folks and I was like, hey, I'm Ted's kid. I'm a yogi. I'm a vegan. And I'm wondering if you're interested in having a dialogue about political identity and anything else you want to talk about. And we dove in, and this one lady was like, you have to convince your dad to stop eating meat. And I was like, man, what about my bro who's like an MMA fighter and his well-being? I know, and potentially his blood type is O type, and you know, science says that he's actually nourished by these ingredients.
For sure.
Way better than anything that I could ever tell him that he needs to do because of my moral conviction. I would be hurting him in some way, even if I thought that I'd be helping him by not respecting his free will in some way. I'm like, I'm nudging very aggressively up against this boundary of someone's, you know, choice and honoring of what feels good for them. So obviously quite a skewed kind of reference, but even as I have a young family member, a cousin actually, that every time I hear about him, I'm not that super close with them, but my family says, oh, I just got out of rehab, and I just got out of jail, and like, oh, I just got arrested again. That doesn't seem like it's a good momentum. I've leaned into the amount that I can, but there's a certain amount of kind of like honesty that someone, I suppose, has within themselves of like, is it worth me pouring myself into this person? If they're not ready to hear it, are these words falling upon deaf ears kind of thing? And I suppose it's just a very different kind of way of interfacing with someone's spiritual philosophical orientation, which their life is now showing up as a byproduct of. I think that's where, you know, interventions come in handy, which that's a real thing. I think it helps people probably a lot. And there's also something that just doesn't seem to be, obviously it's very different, but I see it as a solar teaching, an emphasis of like, we need to give you this that you don't, you know, you need to get. It's like those people need something from that. I don't know, that you're converting someone, you're converting them as a soul to being on your team. And it's like that whole idea of, you know, denying someone the heavens or the heavenly state or God or the kingdom of God or however you want to see it, just based on that lensing. Versus, I think, a lens that has some kind of understanding of, well, this is this lifetime for that person to figure it out. And if they really want it, they have to come to it on their own. Push them a certain amount, you can kind of push them away also. And respecting free will, reflecting someone's interest of learning from the thing. Anyways, those are a couple other angles on it.
You know, I'm well studied in the scriptures, and my mind, like, you can say anything, and I've trained myself to like, oh yeah, that's what's helped me with Eastern mysticism and thought, because I'll hear Yogananda say something, or I'll hear Manly P. Hall say something, or whoever, and my mind goes immediately to some obscure verse, like, wow, okay, it's, or I'm researching the 7 Hermetic principles, and oh, that's why the scripture says that. Oh, so the 7 Hermetic principles are in the Bible. Cool, awesome, we can study this. So my mind goes to the scriptures just to say that, you know, Paul says, become all things to all men so that you can win some. And so here you are at the concert, as you always are, and then there's vegans here. Wow, those are my people. Let me, Dad, they're not going to listen to you. They might throw a bucket of paint on you and say it's blood. Like there's no telling what's going to happen. But let me go and speak to them. Let me go talk to them. I'm going to be the ambassador, if you will, to these people and find common ground and talk with them. And so like becoming all things to all men is like just sitting with people where they are. Like meet them where they're at. Like for those who are vegans, listen, we're going to talk vegan. For those of you who are hunters, you can talk to a hunter and a meat eater and sympathize with them. Yeah, the type O negative, yeah, you're going to be anemic if you stop eating. Be careful. Maybe eat meat once a month. You know what I'm saying? Twice a month. But be careful. So there's wisdom and a way that you can connect with that person where it's not proselytizing. Like there's an exchange and there's like an offering and really you don't even have to give anybody anything. You just being there you're gonna exchange, but not trying to is the big thing. That once Christians let that go, and whatever it takes for each person, because everybody's different. For some it's a revelation of hell. It's a study of the Bible and they find out, damn, hell doesn't exist. I've come to another revelation, and Jesus was talking about the trash heap in Gehenna, and there is no mention of hell in the Old Testament. And so whatever it is, like if they're studying, most Christians, if you could show it to them in the Bible, they'll change the way they think because the word is truth to them. And like if you can show me, so when it becomes down to all things to all men, I have to talk Christianese to you. Like I can't come with you about, hey, come do yoga, meditate with us and open your chakras. No, let's say, listen, you just need balance in your life. You need to get your sex drive taken under control. I may tell somebody else they need to get their root chakra right and not be living from the root. There's different ways. I love it, especially as a hip hop artist. Like it's opened up so much wordplay for me because I was a Christian artist. And, you know, I only had 7 words I can say for Jesus and Yeshua, maybe Mashiach. That's a cool word. But now I'm like Sananda. I'm talking about the cosmic Christ. Like I'm just angels, aliens. There's so much more wordplay, but meeting people where they are. So when it comes to like your dad or whatever, and those people like, hey, tell your dad to stop eating meat. You're the one to do it. You tell him. My response at this point when people try to project like that, hey, you need to tell your audience that this is wrong. That getting back, I'm getting those messages. I'm like, no, you need to tell them. You need to tell my dad that eating meat's wrong. No, you do it. And they want you to carry their message or whatever. Like if it's your conviction and you've given your life and you showed up at this concert, like you're here for a reason. You need to do it. Not that I need to do it. Whether it's that becoming all things to all men, and these are just this is one or the other. Your dad might be set on not being able to learn from you because you're his son. Like, yeah, I can't have my son correct me and teach me how to eat and keep that. There could be that going on, but the other side, you may be the only one to be able to show him these ways, right? So we don't know, but when somebody has a burning passion that they try to project on you to like take their torch and run with it and say, you need to say this or you need to do this. It's like, I'm always like, no, you need to. And they get mad, but it's like, hold on, sit with that a moment. Like you have a passion. I don't have a passion for this message. Like it's going to seem, I speak on it or whatever, but it's going to seem disingenuous if I try to come off as an LGBTQ expert and preach your gospel. It's not, it burns within you, live it. You're living, this is your reality. I'm with you. I love you and I honor you. But, I have mine too, that I'm having a hard time getting, this truth out in these messages, But speaking of that, what your dad, it was weird, but it was synchronistic how it happened. I'm scrolling on TikTok as I do, and I'm scrolling TikTok and I saw a video of your dad from the 90s. I don't have to really go into it, but it was the Kurt Cobain video of him like doing a rant on Kurt Cobain after he committed suicide. And it was some TikToker was like, look at Ted Nugent, look how he responded. He would be canceled today. And it played the clip. And I hadn't seen anything on your dad in years. And I see that clip and it stuck with me. Most of the time I would just keep scrolling. I was like, wow, I never seen that. That's pretty harsh that he said that. And then Charnel's like, hey, I got a friend who I want you to meet. He's a rapper too. It's actually Ted Nugent's son. I'm like, dang, I just seen the damn TikTok, and now I'm gonna do a
Wow.
roundtable with them, and like I understand that, but I also understand your dad in that interview and how he's just raw. It's what he does. Like nobody's gonna hear him if he was raw. You know what I'm saying? He has to be out there and like that and be assertive. Um, but in your conversations with your dad, because you filmed some of the sit downs with rolling ideas off of your dad and stuff, and those have been some really cool videos to watch. And I hear him talk about drug abuse, and I hear him talk about drug
Mm.
addicts and being next to them, and people trying to get him to shoot up or to drink, and
Man.
he's in that lifestyle, and how much like adamantly against it he was so that he wouldn't get caught up in that whirlwind, and
Man.
we can, and that's your dad, obviously. I know you see these things, but the same with the preacher. Like a lot of people who are preaching against homosexuality, when they really just going at it, like going against it, you find out that they're closet homosexuals and they can't be who they
Man.
who they were created to be. I'll say that, and so
Man.
they start attacking that very thing that they hate about themselves. And those
In
Christians
others.
Christians will do it too, because you got a freedom in you, TruthSeekah, Rocco, whoever listening. You have a freedom that I still beat myself up with it anytime that I do it. And so that freedom, they attack it. They don't know what else to do. They can't honor it and
Man.
and just let you live your life. I gotta
Man.
attack it. And so we see a lot of that going on, navigating through these narratives, and so many more right now. And all those narratives come from trauma. I'm dropping a couple of things out here. I mentioned that thing with Penn Jillette, to go back and watch that if you can. But
Yeah.
also there's a
Please.
documentary on Netflix called Misha and the Wolves. We sat
Nation in the
down
war.
and watched it, me and my wife, and I've been interviewing some really interesting people lately. But when it comes to narratives and when it comes to trauma and stories that people make up, it is insane, man. These, people live these realities that are real, even if it's only real to them, man. And that documentary really brought that to life. And I'm a seeker, dude. Like I want to hear your story. I've seen some stuff. I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic when it comes to all of this stuff because I want proof. But when you hold out, you get the real deal. And so, there's a lot of people responding to trauma and triggers, because if trauma comes from a wound, you were wounded when you were 7. Your dad was a pastor and they excommunicated you because you're a child of Satan, whatever. Like those stories exist for sure. And anytime
Yeah.
somebody touches that open wound, it triggers you. You have a response to that trauma. But those are good for us, people who identify and work as healers, because we know what areas to send some energy to send some nourishment, some treatment to in others, but also heal yourself first, heal the healers. And so when we find ourselves getting triggered and somebody said that and it made me revert back to lashing back out at people and stuff, like, hold on, why can't I hold my peace when somebody brings every subject up but that one, and I have to be assertive, and I'm losing friends. And so, trauma and narratives and us hanging out with people who aren't here right now. They're on a different wavelength and a realm of existence. And it is their way to cope with trauma, to cope with hurt. A lot, even when it comes to abductions, I'm interviewing a lot of alien abductee people and people who are contacting.
Oh.
One of the most interesting things, and Richie, if you're listening to this is the alien gray theory that I left off the other night when we were talking. But one of the alien gray theories where people say, I've been abducted and they were looking over me and there was lights and they were putting things in me. A lot of people talk about the connection with those alien abduction experiences and running experiments on them. It's come from birth trauma, when you were snatched out of your mother's womb by this doctor with a mask on and big goggles, and they're all looking at you and giving you shots and all this kind of stuff, like coming out of the womb to this new world, taking your first breath of air, and all of these people are pulling on you and stuff, and like you're getting memories at like 7 years old of these beings looking at you, and you're seeing it. Like there's some interesting connections with alien abductions even being linked to birth trauma, the way you came out of the womb.
Man, I would love for you to talk to my brother Hermes. He's the thing that just popped up while we were talking. His Instagram is Awakened Consciousness Collective. And he's, other than I'd say you and I, he's one of the more esoterically informed, occult informed, magically informed beings in the crystallinity that I've ever witnessed. And in terms of like the different ways that these kind of dream traumas show up, like with the grays and relating it to the birth trauma, and that as an actual memory, I think there's a lot to it, man. That's quite the portal there.
Charnel's asking for the name. You said Awakened Conscious Collective?
Yeah, Awakened Conscious Collective, I think, or Awakened Consciousness Collective.
Okay. But
yeah, it's like a pretty big page. It posts a lot of memes and stuff, but he actually has awesome other online a bunch of offerings. Yeah, high level.
Nice. The trauma's deep, dog. Like I gotta stop talking. I love this stuff, but I'm just like, religion I think is a response to trauma. The trauma of
Ditto.
Of death, of what happens to us when we die. Like, bro, spirituality, all of these, Jesus saving you and giving you eternal life. Like, you gotta pick something, or just being okay with death. Like, some people get to the point where they're okay with, hey, when I die, it's just nothing. We don't exist anymore. It's scary to talk to those people, because that's very scary to me. And but I understand that religion and finding a narrative that takes away that fear of death is something that all humans deal with, every single one of us. And for some people, listen, I talk to a lot of past life regression people. I can't say that I fully believe that narrative, but I got people who are sold on it. But it's just like, as long as you're sold on past life regression, that you get to keep coming back, then you never die. Or, well, I'm just going to be energy in the cosmos, hence I'll never die. There's just, we have to come to this understanding of why we will never die. Okay, well, I get to live eternal life with Jesus. I never die. He offers eternal life. He has defeated death. He has defeated the grave. He has given us a second chance at life. We're already dead now, and we're born again in the spirit, and our spirits will live in eternity. And you have all of these, every religion gives you something different about what happens, and people want to be okay. I recognize that in religion. I recognize that in interviews, and it's like, because I recognize it in myself, and maybe that's a projection, but I do feel like it is we'll make up myth, we make up story, we make up something, and that is even a response to trauma, to say, okay, this is what happens when we die, guys. I've never died, bro. I don't know. Like, for me to tell you exactly, the Bible, I can tell you what the Bible says. I believe it. I know that belief comforts me. I don't know for fact. There's also some other cool stuff about reincarnation in the Bible, right? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I never died. Yes, you have. Let's do a regression. And you'll know that you were a king in Egypt. Okay, let's do it, man. I'm a skeptic, bro. I want to know. Like, I know there's too many fakers, bro. There's too many people making this stuff up as they go, and they get an audience, and they get a crowd, and they keep doing it.
Of course, with all things, there will be those who are in the shadow trying to get the shine of the brightness.
It's a response to trauma. It's a response to nobody ever listening to them. I didn't have, now I got all these Christians listening to me. Now I got a platform with New Agers listening to me, or whatever it is. Like, it's because nobody listens to you in your family or growing up. So now you deviate and go start something where you got people listening. That's even a response to trauma.
What you know about the Akashic field and how it informs karma, and how trauma is a reflection of karma?
Um, not the science of it. You know what I'm saying? I know
Have
all
you
the
looked at,
terms, but I'm not an expert on them by any means.
so if I may expound a bit, because you just pointed out a bunch of really gushy, good stuff. Man, so I had two, I would call them near-death experiences with Archangel Michael. And all he did was kind of like, he poked me into an awareness of what it feels like to waste energy and why it's disrespectful, basically.
Man.
Those were at 21, and then again at 24. Yeshua spoke to my left ear at 3:30 a.m. December 2012, 2016, and said one word, Paul. And made me go look and what did this do? Paul, what Saul, Paul, what happened? What is he really pointing at? What are these letters about? And then I go into this initiation through there's one yoga teacher that I loved him. It was just funny, but it was like making good sense, and I like that. And it seemed practical and not foo-foo woo. And then I realized the real thing I wanted is called Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is like the yoga of my mind. I want my mind's fluctuations to go away. I want my mind to be calm and steady and basically an instrument of my expression and not a hindrance of my expression. A tool that I'm able to use instead of a tool that I don't know how to use and I hurt myself. You know, a hammer that I'm able to hit nails in with, not a hammer that I break my thumb with, kind of thing. Then Raja Yoga and Siddha kind of paired together for me, and I started working with DMT, and I saw that because I was anchored in certain yoga practices that it actually informed my framework during these experiences. Started seeing that mental framework is basically karma. Karma is this kind of like etheric template, psychological template, and etheric elemental template that each soul comes into each body with. Each body gets basically imprinted with plasma, ionic, solar sunlight of the I am presence when the first breath is taken by that child. Prana, chi, clicks into that carbon, and that boom is the star moment. All those astrological, those are all just elemental reflections of that I am presence in that moment. And that soul I am is coming into that body because that body has kind of momentum because of the parents and the parents, and then the social moment, and then that geometrical kind of influence of all those planets. Everything is this pressure point onto that soul's first breath, and their life has all these kind of most likely things and less likely things. Free will is this bowling ball in the middle of gutters, and sometimes there's bumpers depending on if someone has good karma. But I got really, really interested in what karma was and how Yeshua's teachings basically aligned with karma, or even Gautama's teachings. And I really was interested in that. And this dude named Krishnamurti stood out, you know him, and looking at how, like all these religions are, somebody found something, but then a bunch of people wanted to follow the one who found it. Some of the ones who follow find it themselves and stop being a follower and start being the realizer or the finder, so to speak. And then most, though, it seems like the majority don't use that guidance system in the same way that first person or the origin point of the teaching, or as Ayn Rand would say, the fountainhead of that teaching. It's not exactly replicated. It's like that the game of telephone where it's like whisper into one person's ear, 30 people ear, 30 ears later, that person whispers back to you what the original whisper was. It was very different. And yeah, man, started seeing, so I said, Akashic field, karma, and trauma. So I learned about trauma in 2017, 18, 19. I got certified from this amazing situation out here in LA, psychoneural energetics. Judith and Catalina lived with these two master teachers back in the day and like learned a lot from them. They're bringing this to there. So I'm learning about that. But okay, how does that line up with Christ? All right, Christ really is just the crystal. The crystal is the soul self. The soul self is the Jiva Atma. Jiva Atma really is Krishna Om, conscious awareness, presence that is a babies make ga ga ga, ahs and oohs and consonants shape around vowels. The body, life, these moments, vowels are the things that fill up the opening. And so Christ is really the soul. So then what's the body, and how can we all get different bodies? And it's really just the elements assembled in astrology, gene keys, human design, all really cool reflections of that. But I see karma as situational momentum that we're all inside of, or rather we're interfacing with as our life. But when someone chooses their eternal life, they're basically choosing their soul self's I am compass versus their physical world identity trauma-based compass. And those are the kind of the two pulling things for every soul on a very realistic, pragmatic, everyday during their life, why somebody chooses spirituality in the first place, or alchemy, or anything like that, sadhana, dharma, whatever it is. But yeah, then I got a couple of different moments where I interfaced with somebody that said they read the Akashic field. And I'd be like, what does that really mean? What is the Akashic field? Heard Sadhguru talk about it, was in person with him twice, blown away. Like, all right, it's very real. Asked different teachers about it. And honestly, DMT has been one of my main teachers. And didn't really start having integrated experiences until I could hold Padmasana, which is full lotus, you know, where you can put the legs kind of in this very particular lock. And I started having different experiences out the top of my crown, and saw very vivid, real electromagnetic blueprinting, witnessing experiences of what my energy body is and how it's composed of these sediments that you can measure them in density. So the bones, we all have bones, but some people don't have bones in certain areas. Certain people have traumas that take away bones from certain areas. And astrologically, there's this incredible mirror there. It's like, yeah, your Venus and Taurus were like gonna hit this moment. And this Vedic astrologer one time showed me this map and this diagram. And I see it as the elements are pulled together by ether. Ether is like the glue of time space. So why Jesus in Yeshua is one of the most powerful teachings in the world is because it just says, choose the soul, choose your soul. Your soul saves you. The I am that I am is what you are in awareness, consciousness, that which experiences all experience. Choose that, you'll go to the Father. Be with the Father, you experience all the stuff through the body still, but you're just going to choose everything in life differently because you're really at home upstairs. Paul Selig, amazing author. You know that name, Paul Selig?
Yeah, the name's familiar. What did he write?
Alchemy. Paul Selig,
Okay.
profound teaching. There's another book, Paul Selig, forgot the name of it, but he uses this term, the upper room. And he's like Abraham, he's like Bashar. And for me, that's Christ consciousness. They just give it this new name. And I see their Dharma kind of encouraging them to give it a new name because it's really the light fractalizing into other people in sound complexes that they can receive, and everybody's gonna find what they need to find for them.
Well, it's it's the messenger, like, because you got people who aren't gonna receive from Jesus because of their dad, because their dad was a pastor, but they'll receive it from Seth, and they'll receive it from Bashar, or channeling a space alien. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like I'll receive, like even saying the same things. Like I know Christians who will crucify you when you share the beautiful teachings of Jesus, but you don't quote the verses, or you change it up a little bit and you live it because they want it in this container. They want it in this box. You can be saying and doing the same thing, but because it's not in that container that they're used to. We talked about at the beginning, just the boxes. We want to put, okay, that's the Christian box. There's the yoga. He's talking yoga now. There's a yoga box, and so, okay, he's a yogi. He talks about Christ. We got boxes for people because we've met people. We've met other Christians, or we met other Hindus or New Agers or whatever it is that when you meet somebody, you're like, okay, he's this, he's that, he's that. And when you blow those paradigms out the water, I love doing that. It's an enigma or whatever, and just blowing those boxes away and messing with people's head, and then being able to kind of share truth in that kind of, because you got to like destroy that paradigm in a sense, like all Christians are this, or all, what we thought all Muslims were that, all Muslims are terrorists, or all Muslims are extreme radical extremists. It's like, no, that's not the case. That's like saying every Christian is a member of the Ku Klux Klan. I know a lot of Christians in the Ku Klux Klan in the South, in Mississippi. I used to work with them on the job. I got to meet them firsthand. And so people, they think that all, Christians are that. We got these boxes that we put people in because of our life's experience, and you can't receive from them. We all have the thing. We just shut down. Like, yeah, I have it, but I know I have it because I identify it though. Like, obviously we know it's there, so that allows us to kind of take the back door. Okay, I know that there's some resistance here, but I'm gonna listen anyway, because there was the scriptures where God spoke through Balaam's donkey. Like, God spoke through a donkey. Like, he was kicking the damn donkey or whatever because he wouldn't go a certain way, but the donkey could see something that he couldn't see. And he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't take a hint. So the donkey started talking to him. And if God can use and speak through a donkey, then he can speak through the people who I think he can't. And when you step into that, again, all is God. I see God, Christ in everything. Then you open up to a new realm of possibility that your devotion to Christ, he'll speak through you through church and through Christians. He'll also speak through you through Muslims. He'll also speak through you through watching an episode of whatever movies on the television, or an ad on a billboard, or somebody's bumper sticker, or numbers 1111 333. Oh my God, he's trying to do whatever he can to get my attention. I am conscious, I'm lucid in the dream, so therefore it's like I can listen to Bashar. Okay, it's cool. I can listen to Jesus, I can listen to Buddha, Muhammad. It doesn't matter. It's like once you know the truth, the Bible says you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Most Christians are like, okay, if we know Jesus, he sets us free. Yeah, he's in that. You got to identify the good and the bad in it. There's Christ in, there's some bad, listen, hey man, Seth, they got some weird stuff, dude. There's some demonics, there's some dark energy in it all. In Christianity, there's some super dark stuff. Be careful. There's the yin and the yang, but that's the beauty, that we get to look at it and like, okay, I know they threw you away. That's why I get emotional talking about this. It is the story of Christ. It is the cross. It's like, listen, I know they all gave up on you. I know your family gave up on you. I know your friends. I know you said you wasn't nothing. And we see the people Christ reached out to, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, the ones that society, everybody gave up, but he saw something valuable in those people. He saw that he can look, and everybody saw the bad, but if you look a little bit closer and look through this veil of the box and open the box and look in it, and you can see that person's soul. You can see their spirit. You can breathe life upon them. You can prophesy to them. You can speak to them and change their day, change their moment, change their situation, change their entire life with a word of encouragement. And Jesus did that with everybody that he met. Even his enemies, he left them dumbfounded and had them thinking, and man, and he did that to me. You know what I'm saying? So I owe it to humanity and to myself and to him, you know what I'm saying, to pay it forward. You know what I'm saying? In every way I can, even if it's just sprinkling a little salt. It might not be doing no miracles in the street we would want to, but it may be just through a conversation of being vulnerable and speaking your truth, that in the midst of that, people know the truth in the midst of a conversation, and it sets them free. That's it, man.
That's the gospel.
That's it. I like both of it, dude. You know what I'm saying? There's a part of me that remains to the gospel of being broken. Like I got a lot of friends, even in the Christian movement. There's mystical Christian movements that are thriving right now. They're growing. It's really cool. They're embracing yoga. They're embracing breath work. It's really cool. I love it. Christian mystics. But a lot of those people are starting to get away from what they call original sin, which is like we were born sinners or whatever. And I know that's what we've been told in the church. And that's
a sticky one.
You're a sinner in need of a savior. But they're like, no, listen, you're redeemed. You're made whole. You're not a dirty, rotten sinner. You never were. The only thing that happened was when you believed you were. And that's what made you that, because you believed it. And I got a lot of friends in that movement. And I'm in that movement to a degree, but it's like I can get so lofty to think I'm so ascended and my head is in the cloud, but my feet aren't connected to the earth. And I need the grace that I needed 21 years ago now, when Christ found me in my sin. Like, I still need him, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty far out. I was going schizophrenic. I was possessed by evil spirits and I was sickly. Like, it was bad. But it's so easy. I'm so far removed from that person to forget about that and say, well, now I've got everything together, and now that's the old me. It's like, listen, I'm one wrong move away from killing somebody. I'm one wrong move away from slapping the taste out of one of my fans' mouth when they talk down to me in public. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a daily thing. The grace and the peace in that moment. That's how spiritual I am, or how much I love spirituality. It is to balance out that negative energy. The light and the dark still exists. It's still there. There may come a time where I need to slap somebody in the mouth, that they stepped in my family, or they, you know what I'm saying? They break in my home, like, I got to go to war. You know what I'm saying? So everything exists, and we get to see the yin and the yang, and we choose this day who we'll serve, the light or the dark. And to think that you've transcended, or it's not in there, is the moment they find out that your pastor has a kid tied up in his basement, and he's been teaching on this new doctrine of how he's untouchable and there's no guile in him. And come on now, like, you know, pride cometh before a fall. And so I understand that, and it keeps me humble. But I am lofty. I know who I am in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? I know who I'm connected to. I know that we are luminous beings within this body. This body is temporary, but we get to experience duality, and that's beautiful. We want to transcend it. We want to leave it. We want to leave our bodies. And guess what? If you die, when you die and you're in the Akasha, guess what you're going to want to do? I want another body. I wish I was still in my body. It's like, listen, be here, be present, be in the moment. And you said wasting energy. Come on, man. That's plant teachers. Like, that's Jesus. Be anxious for nothing. Be in the moment. Stay in the moment. Any moment that you're not present is a waste of that moment. And that's what they all sing with a resounding gong. Every single one of them. Every plant teacher. Hey, man, be present. Be mindful. Listen a little bit more. Like, you only got a little bit time there. Like, create some beautiful stuff. It's in you. Nothing's going to stop you. We're going to show you how to do it. When you reach these blissful states of meditation, you said DMT, psilocybin. It's these same messages that are they're whispers from eternity, which are synchronicities, reminding you, hey, TruthSeekah, you're lucid in the dream, bro. You get to do some really cool stuff, man. Take advantage of it. So, I know I'm ranting, man. I love the energy, bro. And I know you got to go, man. And go ahead and plug your stuff, dude. You're a hip hop artist. You got some really cool music that you're working on, some really cool music out. You're active on Instagram. You do one-on-one sessions. You got some courses and stuff like that coming out. Let people know where they can tap into your work, man, and listen to some of your tunes and book sessions and all that cool stuff, bro.
Man, appreciate your prism and your reflectivity and your anchoredness and your articulation and your full spectrum kind of like historical analytic awareness. It's a blessing to be in coherence with you, bro. Appreciate you. The space you hold.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. On Instagram, it's at Roccomoon, ROCCOMOON. Moon stands for miss out on nothing. You heal and resolve FOMO, the feeling of missing out, which is separateness from what you want to have, by missing out on nothing and choosing what you're unwilling to miss out on and living that daily. Got an online course coming out, Mirror Alchemy, which is basically kind of Buddhic awareness, simplified, pragmatized. I'd say it's the next level of Christ consciousness, which is mirror consciousness, which is just highly emotionally intelligent, pragmatic, alchemical beingness on a daily level. Got another online course, Moon Alchemy program, pretty much like spiritual embodiment. I don't like the term enlightenment as much as embodiment. Makes it really, again, that word pragmatic, all of the highest level enlightenment stuff, but simplified, pragmatized for a waking state kind of, is it helpful? Yes or no? Everything's pretty much on Instagram. been putting out music as Roccomoon, but just went through this identity shift, and the moon just stopped feeling like it was part of the music. So the teachings are going to be more kind of with this last name of Moon as a branding, because what you and I are both doing is reflecting the light of the infinite sun into this space. So I see a moon as a metaphor of that. And the music will keep coming out, but as Rocco with a comma at the end. But again, just go to Roccomoon on the Instagram and the link tree. There's services offered. It gives you kind of clarity as to what my specialties are as a servant to each soul. Mirror sessions are what I call them, when we do like a full kind of quantum alchemy scan of what is the most relevant thing that anybody needs assistance with. I don't believe in confusion. I feel confusion is just psychological pressure and friction waiting for clarity to have an aha moment. I'm an aha moment gardener, and I just work as an extension of the crystal body that we all are as one infinite intelligence. And the online courses, fun 8-week program and then a 12-week program. One-on-ones, love doing those. See anything you need on the Instagram. That's about it.
That's what's up. Rocco, enjoyed it, man. And anytime you want to do it again, we need to do it. I'm sure there's so much that we can talk on, and we didn't even like crack your story. We just went in on some deep stuff off the going into your story and stuff. There's still more that I'd like to explore with you and get your take on a lot of stuff too. So let me know when you want to do it again, man. We'll make it happen.
Man, would love to. And yeah, let's like plant a seed here with whoever's listening and whoever watches this. Like maybe comment what you'd like to see us kind of go in on and what topics. I'd love to talk to you more about how you've alchemized your masculine heritage into what you are now. I think both of us have something in common there. Amongst, I'm sure, some other fun topics too. But yeah, bro, appreciate you. It's been a blessing. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Heck yeah. Roccomoon, ladies and gentlemen. Rocco, thanks for coming on. And like I said, we'll have to do it again. And with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom, Rocco. We'll do it again, bro. Peace.
I say peace, blessings.
Namaste. Ladies and gentlemen, Roccomoon. Yeah. The Nugent son, Ted Nugent's son. Killing it, man. Killing it. Spiritual powerhouse. I think I labeled this episode, pretty cool name. Spiritual powerhouse. Brothers really in touch, really in tune. Got a lot in common, a lot more to explore. And hopefully, there'll be a friendship. There'll be some camaraderie. There'll be some music come out, something like that will make it happen. We're not done with this episode yet, guys. For those of you who are on Patreon and want to join this episode, if you have any questions or comments and you want to be on camera or not, just turn your camera off. You can do that by going to the Patreon and just going down to the last episode and click the Zoom link to join in. I do have a guest that we're going to bring in here in a moment, and I'll introduce him on the other side of this short break. We're going to take a short break, and on the other side, listen, we're going to talk about UFOs. We're going to talk about orbs. We're going to talk about ufology and somebody who's having a lot of amazing encounters here in a minute. So make sure you guys stick with us on the other side of this break, and we'll be right back. Wow, so the throne room meditation, man, this was just like a new level for me of creating encounter. Really the process behind it is going in for myself, having an encounter with the Lord, tapping into the Spirit and getting in His presence. And really just petitioning the Father's heart and saying, God, what would you say to them? If I'm bringing these people with me here, if they're doing this guided meditation and we're going through this journey, we're having fun, we're seeing things, we're experiencing new feelings and emotions and sensations, what would you say to them? So it's channeling the Father's heart and relating it back to the people. So man, it's just a beautiful encounter. And I remember when I wrote the first one, I was so excited about it, and it was just God speaking to my heart. I was able to channel the Father's heart, and I would read the script to people because I was just so excited while I was working on it. And every time that I would just read the script, the presence of God would just invade me, and I just burst into tears, and I couldn't even read it. I'm just like, let me copy and paste it and send it to you. But every time I listen to it, I'm immediately translated back into the throne room of God, and everything's good there. That's the place where everything is okay, where in the scriptures it says that we are to hide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is the throne room of God. This is the place that we can encounter for ourselves, but this is also a place in which we dwell. So a part of us is always there, and we have access to that. Now there's people who have never encountered this before in their life, and it's a totally new experience for them. And almost every time I get a testimony back from someone, they just say how God wrecked their lives, that they didn't know what they were getting into. The next thing they know, they're in the presence of God, wrapped up in His glory. He's communicating His love to them, and it just totally wrecks their lives. So make sure you check out the Throne Room guided meditation, visualization that I brought to the table.
There are things that go bump in the night. Pull up a chair. Don't be scared, for you have many friends unaware on the TruthSeekah podcast.
TruthSeekah podcast.
TruthSeekah. He seems like a nice guy.
You're listening to the TruthSeekah podcast. Now, back to the show.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the TruthSeekah podcast. My guest is joining me right now, but he's having some audio issues. See if you can leave and come back, Nate, which I think you just did, and we'll see if we can hear you. Get your mic working. Again, we're going to be talking about UFOs, ufology, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. I need to pull these pictures up just so that I can show you guys who are on stream, but my Facebook has been tripping. But I had somebody reach out to me and sent me some pictures and videos of UFOs, and sent them to my Facebook. And I think he's back with us now. Nathan, are you there, bro? Hey, bro, can you hear me? He sent me these pictures. I'm trying to see if I can share them on the stream right quick, just because they're really, really cool. But my Facebook isn't loading. But he sent them to me and was telling me all of these different experiences that he was having with UFOs and with orbs and interesting thing, telepathic communication. And that's something that we cover here a lot. I've been talking about ufology a lot. We've been talking about interviewing people who have had continued contact with lights in the sky and UFOs and things of that nature. But they talk about having continued contact. They talked about having telepathic communication, downloads, and epiphanies, and who or what they are remains a mystery for a lot of people. You know, they can talk about their experience. They can talk about what they think it is, you know, but it's really, we get into weird territory when people come forth and tell you exactly what it is, and tell you that I know for a fact that these are the beings from Zeta Reticuli or the beings from Orion. Like, you know, there's some muddy water there. For a skeptic, maybe for you, you believe it. You know, maybe it resonated with something deep down in you when they said it, and that it's truth. I don't know, but a lot of people are having a lot of different experiences. And even though, you know, we talk about UFO and alien abduction and how that's being phased out, and we don't even hear those terms being used anymore. We talk about that, but some people still say it's happening. Other people say that you hear more of people calling themselves contactees and experiencers, or awakeners in those terms that sound like more fun terms, and people are willing it to happen. People are actually going out into the fields and doing CE5 initiatives. And if you don't know what that is, you go out into an open field, you go out under the night sky, and you ask for a sighting. You ask for a ship to appear or a being to appear. We don't even have to say a ship. You could say a being, because I think a lot of the stuff that we're seeing are actually entities. That these aren't plasma ships or not plasma ships, because that plasma ship could be a being as well. They're not nuts and bolts ships. They're not what people would call back engineered craft, or even physical craft as far as with occupants in it. But you look into the night sky and you see these lights, you see these orbs, you see all of this stuff, and you could be looking at an entity itself, is which I believe most of the things that I've seen have been along that line, has definitely been entities. Nathan, I think we hear you now, buddy.
Okay, hi.
Figured out, man.
I think there is some sort of Bluetooth miscommunication going on there.
Nice. So I'm trying to do the, lead into the segment and work audio controls and try to help you get your mic worked out at the same time. But we're here, man. So I don't know if you heard much of what I'm talking about, but I get a lot of pictures, man. I get a lot of pictures in my inbox, and hey, what is this? And most of the time it's like, I don't even see anything. Honestly, most of the time it's like a shadow, maybe it looks like it could be a face in the shadow or something. But some of the pictures and videos that you see me were really interesting, bro. And I want to talk to you. I want to break it down, hear what you're going through and your relationship and what you're experiencing, what's going on in your head. I know how it is. How long has this been happening? But yeah, so why did you inbox me and send me these pictures? You've been listening to the podcast and things like that?
Yeah, so I guess I'll take it from like the most recent and then bring it all the way back to the past. So we'll start from the beginning and go back to the end from when I first know. So about 2 years ago, I'm just outside. I'm whittling my own chess set. I'm listening to reggae music. I'm sort of day drinking. I'm looking down at an ant, thinking to myself, man, this ant and I are so much alike, man. I'm just doing my thing, not even know what's going on. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm also like God, just looking down on me, just ready to take over. If, I've always been a type of, step over ants, help spiders out, whatnot. And then all of a sudden I got this feeling come over me, which this feeling's happened to me before. And, this just like energetic, like a buzzing feeling, like this, like energy, like electricity almost. And then I look up and I see these, two balls of light just spinning around, dancing around each other. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm glad I had my phone this time. So I take my phone out and I'm recording, and in the recording, I get, pretty excited, because it is exciting because I know what they are, because this is the second time that it's happened to me. So after I record it and then I go back and I look at these videos, I call my girlfriend out. She's looking at them too. It's not just me who sees these things. So then when you break the video down, slow it down, you can see at least 20 of these smaller, just softball size round objects with what looks like wings chasing around black rectangles. That's what I can describe them as. And then sometimes you'll see discs of light. And then as I'm sitting there, this sensation comes through, this like lightning rod of like just energy coming, surging through the top of my head, out through my body, down the left, out of my leg. And, ever since then, just been searching around, trying to find out what these things are. I've turned to religions, different religions. The Quran talks about the jinn and Kareen, The karina is supposed to be something that's spiritually tied to a human when it's born, trying to get the human to do bad deeds. It gets, really kind of messy when you look in all that. So yeah, I've just been looking around, and then I found your podcast, and every time that I hear you and your experiences and how you said that you've seen a fleet of them during the daytime, and it basically describes what I've been seeing. And take that back 6 years ago, the same incident happened to me where I seen 3 flying objects, and like before it happened, I was looking down at my son. He's just in a baby harness and in front of me. I'm just, hey, we're going to look out this window. We're going to see something amazing. And I see these 3 balls of light just flying by, like real super high, really super fast, right behind each other. And I just, I thought out, and I felt it from my heart, and I called out and I said, hey, where are you going? Why don't you come back? And then in that moment, the very last one stopped in its tracks, and it started drifting towards me. And that's when I jumped on, the good old YouTube, trying to find out, whoa, this is crazy, because, I've seen a UFO before, but it's never been like this. Yeah. So then that's where you and I were talking about, where I jumped on, and I'd seen that video of the Prophet Yahweh where he summons UFOs in front of the news crew. And I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. So, and before all this happened, I also had a UFO experience where I'd seen a big solid black trapezoid craft with my friend. He was with me at the time. We both seen it. Kind of just stopped on the 4-wheeler that we were on, got off, started walking up to the house, looking at this thing just floating at the back of my pond. We lived up north in Atlanta, Michigan at the time, so 20 acres, and this thing was at the back of the property, but it was huge. So we looked down, we looked back, and it's gone. Well, during that time is when my mom and my dad started telling me, they're like, yeah, I've seen UFOs too. And the story with my mom was, she was sitting at in her house with all of her brothers were gone, out bowling with her dad, and she was sitting out in the living room. Grandma was downstairs doing laundry. Get this feeling, come to the window, come look out the window. Same basic feeling that I got. This my second experience. So she finally looked, finally had the curiosity to get up and go look. And like I said, it's just like, it's not like a voice, or it's just like a feeling. When I say like they like communicate, it's just like, I wouldn't say someone's voice, just like a feeling, that you get. They like, just like, oh, like I know, like I don't know how I know, it's just like there. And then the closest thing to these orbs, these light orbs that I can describe them as, to the best of my knowledge, is that my father, who was adopted, on his communion day when he first got home, his adopted mother and their neighbor and him were in the basement. Not sure what they were doing, but his story was a ball of light about bigger than a grapefruit came in through the wall. It hit his chest, it hit my mother, my grandma's chest, and then the neighbor's chest, and then it flew out through the glass block window. So now here I am years later. I'm still trying to find out what these things are. I've researched ball lightning. I go on the internet, you can find old historic reports of like these flying objects in the sky in like Germany, and then the more recent ones that are on there. I'm just glad that I'm connecting with more people who I had no idea also existed out there, who is also experiencing these same things. And I'm just glad to share with other people. And I'm just, here to learn and find out what's going on, and connect with you, and get connect with other like-minded people, and just so that we can all get together and say, hey, you're not the only one.
Yeah, for sure. And that we hear that all the time of, you're not the only one, man. Like, but that is so powerful when people find out that they're not crazy. especially
Mhm.
going through this. Like I was kind of going through my awakening at the same time. Like that stuff facilitated awakening. Going out under the night sky. Hey, are you guys out there? Can I see you? Pop, pop, pop. Oh wow! Like something's exists that knows my thoughts and is communicating, and then it just opens up so many questions. But then friends would disappear. Like, oh, am I crazy? Am I really experiencing this, or did I make it all up in my head? And what I believe showed itself to me. There's another rabbit trail that could be possible. But for you, when you started out, like, did you this happened out of nowhere? For me, I seen Prophet Yahweh first, but it was around the same time of doing some UFO studying and stuff, and then I saw Prophet Yahweh. When I seen that, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like, so it's like Prophet Yahweh came first, and then some biblical study too, to make sure that it was safe, and just studies on the angels and how they travel, and could this be angelic? Because the Christian realm says no, it's demons, man. Be careful. You guys are waving at demons, asking demons to come back and say hey to me and my son. So you can't even talk to them. They're closed down to the entire conversation. So it's like, well, who else do I talk to? Well, I got to go on some podcast and have a conversation with people, which is what I did. I called into many podcasts and interviewed and started my own podcast where I got to interview those people in long form. Was this like a first time experience when you seen it, or did you watch a movie? Did you hear about someone who summoned UFOs or angels that are watching you in the sky or anything like that at first that planted the thought that could sprout?
I grew up without TV. The coolest show I ever watched was The Closest Encounters of the Third Kind, which I seen young. I didn't think too much of it. E.T. scared me when I first seen that. I turned that off.
Yeah.
I grew up with like Christian based family, and I've always often thought that I'm just God's God, and I don't I know that there's God and angels, and so when all this started happening, like I've just been informed and read my Bible, and I stopped going to church all because of I guess going on Sundays and not the Sabbath, and just certain things that people would just, it was more of, oh, I'm doing this, like you said, just to be doing it to follow other people. And then I realized from reading on my own and trying to learn on my own, and then from the moment that they got their closest to me, because in this video is the closest that they've ever been, and from when they touched me, that's when I've kind of like went kind of like you did. It's like, oh, I got to go to the preacher, and like, oh, I'm gonna go there, and then he's gonna look at me like what are you like where do I go to? And then I found a pagan temple that I went asked questions, because I felt that they'd be like more adverse. And I think this first meeting I went there, one of the leaders there, he said that there's Archangel Michael is here, and he says that you are one of theirs and we need to watch out for you. And so that got me thinking, and I really think that these have to be some sort of angelic beings, these light orbs. Like, I'm sure that there's man-made stuff out there, but these things that I'm seeing and encountering and other, they're fluid. They move, and they work together, they communicate together, and it's a back and forth, like open exchange of ideas when like you're around them. And I don't know, I kind of lost track of.
Yeah. So the ones you're seeing, because they look like little lights, I guess, from far away, but there was other ones, maybe there's something different, but something was translucent, something that you could see through. And remember, I said it looks kind of like a bubble, because it was like you can just see a reflection. Now we got to understand too that beings, spirits, and whether UFOs are actually ships or they are beings themselves. Like I think a lot of times what I've seen, they're actual entities, right? They seem alive. They don't like they're in a vehicle driving by. It feels like what you're seeing a lot of times is something that's alive, right? And it's communicating with you, and but you was able to see through it. But those beings and ghosts, and they have the ability to cloak, to kind of like, and to cloak, it would give the appearance of being translucent, of being see-through or whatever, so that you see what's behind it. And we even have technology now that does something similar to that, you know. The thing that you saw that was see-through during the day, and everybody, he's got videos and pictures of all of this, and if we can, I'd like to link it on my website, and but then, you know, link it back to you just so people can go there and look at this footage and actually look at the pictures. But I seen something at night that was like that. Like I'm looking, like with stargazing and looking at UFOs, most of the time they were like out of the atmosphere. They're just little pieces of rice, like little lights that you got to focus. Oh, there's one. But then like there's one a little bit lower, or one comes down, you know, and they go in and out of stars. And I'm like watching like highways in the stars and stuff. And as I'm focusing way out there, this orb that is see-through, this big ball, similar to what you showed in the video, like at night, I seen the outline of it, but you could see through it, and it was flying right above the tree line. So as I'm looking way out there, just right here in the peripheral, is this big thing, like what the heck, and you could see through it. So I've seen something similar, and I've asked James Gilliland, and he talks about seeing things that look like balloons that you can see through, but they're actual entities and stuff.
Yeah. So there's this goddess called Hecate. She goes around with like torches. So, you know, I even thought that this thing, I'm going to send you the video, and when the video first starts off, you'll notice two large orbs just stationary right above my rooftop. You know, and then I pan the camera up to where these things are. And then you watch me watching these things, and, you know, and I'm like, with my eyes, I can just see the two moving around. I don't notice all these other ones going zipping out. And then when you see the video, you can see it, and you'll see these orbs go from one side of the screen all the way to the other, and you don't see them the travel. You'll just see them in this spot, and then they're in this spot. And then when you slow it down, there's a smoke like ring, like a smoke circle where this thing has gone through a cloud, and it's quite amazing. And you can hear it, I think, in my voice where I start saying, "Oh my God, no way!" And like that's when I first noticed it. And then, yeah, they definitely can change shapes, change size. To me, I think that they can group up together as in, you know, groups. And I don't know if these two things that were looking around were the eyes of a bigger creature, you know, looking around, surveying the area, and then these other orbs were like the children, you know, flying around. You know, you've got a couple theories and some stuff in a lot of ancient Renaissance art, which I love. I love the ancient Renaissance art that show UFOs, and there's some that show, and a lot of people talk about maybe there's a mothership, and that the little ones, a lot of people say they're like drones, that they just kind of go out and survey and either bring back information, or they can see through them from this craft and things like that, or God can see through them. Like there's some really interesting Renaissance art that even shows that, and people who believe that now. Also, you mentioning like this rod that kind of hit you, like a beam of light that was like a knowledge that came through you, like a download communicating with you. There's Renaissance art of that one coming from like a cloud, and it has a dove on it as well. So it's like going through a dove, I guess, representing the Holy Spirit, but it's hitting this lady in the head. So it's like she's being enlightened, and she's receiving a transmission from the stars, from the clouds. And we talk about telepathic communication. It's like, wow,
they were drawing this stuff in early Renaissance art, and it's all throughout Christendom as well. So one of the things you said that looked like this interesting that you said they looked like they were fighting or like erasing like the little black rods. That's interesting too. Like they're like spiritual warfare or something, or negative entities that are trying to invade an atmosphere that they came to clean it up or something, and you just got to see it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I've been wanting to get my video onto like a professional grade like editing system so that we can blow it up, zoom in, slow it down like super duper slow. Like I would love it to be professionally analyzed and like taken even further and see, because like, I can just like piece together what's going on, and the way that my camera works, and that when the things are spinning around, like you can literally see things coming out, and then when you slow it down like frame by frame and then you stream it together, you can see these white balls with what looks like wings chasing these like smaller rectangle things around. I don't know if they're chasing them or what they're doing, but what you talked about when you said the Holy Spirit, I've even said these are either aliens, angels, spirits, or I've just seen the Holy Ghost itself. So, and that's really cool that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So
and one of the things you were sharing with me in the messages as well, which is cool, and I'm sure you can appreciate that. I said it earlier in the interview, is that I'm a skeptic. You know what I'm saying? And I know you are too. You told me in the message, you said you don't want to just see a light in the sky and say, oh, it's a UFO, everybody, because you can be fooled. It could be a plane. Like there's some interesting planes out there. There's some interesting lights in the sky that are satellites. And if you've seen the stuff, SpaceX put out there, like if you've seen that, like you would swear that it was a fleet of UFOs as well. Like you want to make sure that it's not something that you want to see, and so the first light in the sky you think it's that, and that can happen too. But it's like the more that you're trying to like, you want the real thing, so you're not gonna fall for something like birds chasing each other. Well, we got to rule it out. We need to study and make sure that this isn't my camera not using autofocus and it's really birds or bugs. There's a lot of that goes on the internet. Bugs in night vision goggles that light up, and people are thinking they're fairies and things like that. So when you approach it, you have to be a skeptic, because that's how you get your answers. Because you don't want you don't want just somebody to say, like, not being a skeptic would just be go to the pastor, and the pastor say, oh yeah, those are demons, just don't worry about them, don't focus on them. It's like, hold on, that doesn't seem right. But just taking his answer, okay, they're demons, everybody. Like, hold on, I don't think it's right. I'm gonna keep digging because and so I honor that in another seeker. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to this, because you've been in groups that you said they post rant like crappy videos and CE5 stuff that's like, I'm not sure that's what that is.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe you've heard of this gentleman. He's really cool. I think he's been on the History and Discovery channel. His name's Jeff Woolwine.
Not right off.
Yeah. And he does stuff like with the petroglyphs, the stone carvings that are written in the stones by the Native Americans. And I've reached out to him, and he's taking a look at the video, and like I said, I really would like to get my video to the experts and have them even break it down a little bit further for me, so that I could better understand who I am, why I am, and the download thing. I don't like to share the whole everything of the download, but because I don't want people to think, oh, you're just saying that because of this, that. It's the feelings that I got were Yahweh is upset that his people are being deceived into thinking that Sundays are the Sabbath. Okay. And the second thing is that there's no, reason for me to personally, consume meat anymore. and that it'd be, best for my diet to, switch to a more plant-based thing for some reason. And, from there, that's all I've been, searching for is more answers, more clues, and connecting with more friends who are also interested. And, and I didn't know anything about CE5, and I got into CE5, and then I found you in your podcast, and I really like your stuff, and
for sure, man. Well, it's
very grateful that you invited me on.
It's good to meet you. It's good. I'm glad you're on here sharing your story and let people know that they're not alone. But I mean, at this point, there's a lot of information out there with CE5 Initiative and the documentaries and the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind project that Stephen Greer put out, which is really cool. They caught a lot of cool stuff on camera. So the thing that you mentioned also about going vegetarian, that was one of the downloads I got as well while stargazing, was if you wanted to continue this, then you need to work on your diet and meditate more. Your diet was, you got to eliminate meat. Now again, for me, I'm not hard on that for a lot of people, but like when you want to dig in and you want to have those encounters and experiences and see some really cool stuff, then it's going to take some kind of an action to do it, and getting a lot of that stuff out of your body, I think, is part of it, so that you can receive, so that you can hear, and they can approach you even. I wrote a book. I don't know if you checked my book out yet, but I actually, I actually detail that part of ufology and angelic contact with the diet, and kind of give examples in the Bible where Daniel would go on a fast, and I had some really interesting synchronicities behind it as well. But that was one of the main messages, as if this is some profound, what did they tell you? Well, they told me to stop eating meat, that kind of thing. They told me to quit going to Sunday Sabbath. It's like, oh, most of the stuff is like, some of it could even be personal. So we got to make sure that we're not projecting on people like our own sanctification, if you will, that we need to better ourselves and we need to do this or we need to stop that. And then it becomes a message that we force on people, or say that God says it, or whatever the case is. So you always have to watch out for that. But I had a lot of synchronicities, and there's a lot of biblical examples and a lot of Eastern examples about cleaning your diet. And it was one thing that they said, if you wanted to go deeper and to keep it up. And honestly, ever since I heard that, it's been a struggle to do it, But it was like, listen, when you're ready to get serious, like, we know it's a struggle, So this will show us that you're serious, because we know how addicted you are to food. We know how much you love it, and it was something that you have to address in any spiritual walk. Is eventually you have to address your diet, and whether it's cutting out meat or eating kosher or whatever the case is.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know, for a long time, I just feel guilty, anytime that I was eating meat, and it got to the point where the only thing I was eating was chicken. And even for Thanksgiving Day, I upset my whole family. Just like, man, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
like, it's so cruel, guys. Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I know I don't want to do this. I'm just doing it because that's what you guys made me think that I'd had to do. And like, I just like woke up and I was like, oh, don't need to actually do this anymore. And just, I don't just, people say like waking up or awaken, but it's just like a light bulb went off. Like, your eyes are just a little bit more open. It's not like being awake. It's just like understanding more, I guess. It's like, if these things can go around being pure energy based on, based on electricity, what are they made out of? Electrolytes? Like, if they can fly and they're made out of, they don't need to eat meat, I want to fly too. Like, my number one thing was like, oh, maybe I'll make friends with these guys. Maybe if I focus real hard, they'll make me levitate like I do in my dreams all the time.
Well, the possibilities are endless, man. And you can't let somebody say, oh, that's silly. Like, no, it's silly to you. To me, it's a possibility. And the Bible says that whatsoever a man thinketh in his heart, so shall it be. Like, if you have the faith to believe it, then why not try and not let anybody rain on that parade? Because here you are flying around town or flying in your home. It's not so far out of the books. There's stories of the priest that used to do it. The early Christian mystics. There's stories of them hovering and flying, and the flying nun. And so, no, like that stuff is somewhere it got lost. And I think a lot of this information of who they are and our involvement with them, whether they're angels or guardians or whatever, that knowledge got lost. So for me, it when it started happening, it just fueled my awakening. Was like, we're not alone. That was one thing, and that heaven is real. Like, that, because for me, I would see these things traveling back and forth from heaven to earth. Like, I would see them come out of a star or come out of Orion. And for me, there's a lot of information about Orion being a portal to what we would call heaven. Like, that's how you get to heaven, is through Orion, and things and stars are created and birthed out of Orion. Almost, it looks like everything is actually coming out of the Orion Horsehead Nebula. A lot of research, a lot of amazing art, even in ancient art about Orion Horsehead Nebula is hidden in a lot of ancient iconography, which is awesome. But it made it real. The angels weren't just some idea, or heaven is not an idea, but like, when the Bible says that Michael travels back and forth from heaven to earth, like, it wasn't lying. Like, they are watching over humanity and the cosmos and all types of beings that are out there. And it just awakened something within you, a possibility. It got in my music, it got in my art, it got in my studies, and it made me better. It made me more loving. It made me more tolerable. It made me less of a know-it-all and more of a child that just approaches awe and wonder with life and the cosmos and astrology and astronomy and stargazing and grounding. And it wasn't just that. It leads to taking care of your body. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, the Bible says. Why would you defile your temple with things that you're putting in it, whether it's processed foods or meats or whatever it is for each individual? Like, at least eat kosher. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can eat, maybe try that, start somewhere. But it opened up a lot of stuff for me, and I know it does for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So did you see the Prophet Yahweh video? Had you already seen that before, or?
No, I had not seen that before. I got onto that, and then it led to flat Earth, and then it led to concave Earth. I'm like, oh, I'll jump on the I'll jump on the concave Earth.
There's a website that I helped restore that helped me when I was going through a lot of this stuff with the Bible and stuff too. It's called BibleUFO.net. And so there's a ton of Bible verses and stuff about anomalies, that things that could be UFOs in the Bible, the chariots of fire, the cloud by day, the fire by night, voices coming out of clouds. And we know that UFOs go in and out of clouds to hide their presence. They hang out in clouds, and it was even, we talk about downloads and telepathic, like, it was like, I was told that chemtrails, or how they block them out when there's going to be a lot of traffic with UFOs, that the government or whoever will spray chemtrails and cloud seed to where there's a perfectly clear day, and then within an hour there's cloud coverage as far as you can see, because of the contrails or chemtrails, whatever you want to call them, that just make a blanket where you can't see above a certain height. I've also gotten the downloads where I've seen the orbs, or it wasn't really, there were lights in the day. Something was like reflecting off of them, it seemed like, though, during the day. Like, maybe the sun was reflecting on it, just so it made it bright so I can see it. And a jet was flying towards it. I saw the jet first, and it told me that jet is flying over here to scare us away. So I looked exactly where that jet was coming. I looked while I was driving my truck and looked way on the other side, and there it was. A jet was headed right towards that shiny orb in the middle of the sky during the day. And as soon as I seen it, it caught that bright glimmer. Hey, I just want you to see it. And then poof, it was gone.
Yeah.
It was gone. I was like, oh my God, that's insane. How did I know that?
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's not like you're hearing voices. It's like an inner knowing. It's very strange.
that, and your whole body will start tingling too. Yep. Yeah, and I know what you mean about. I've got like so many videos where I'm zooming in on something, and like I zoom in, and oh yeah, it's a balloon. Oh, I'm glad I got this camera in here to figure it out. But you'll know when they are them because of how they're responding to your thoughts, and or getting your attention. It's not gonna, if you're sitting there paying attention, oh look, what's that? But when you get that feeling, when I'm in the back of the house vacuuming with my son just on my chest, looking down to him, saying, Ben, you want to go look at the window? We're going to see something amazing. And then you go out and do it, or sitting there whittling, and you get this funny feeling, and like 5 minutes later you see them. It's like, when you see them. Because
I got a friend of mine who went through a lot of this stuff with me. He on the Christopher Macklin episode, he jumped in on the end of it. I know you said you heard that one, but the one we just did with Christopher Macklin, my buddy, The Voice, who Stephen Cook, I do a lot of music with him. He's talked. We put the stuff in our music. We talk about telepathic communication and seeing light ships and awe and wonder and we talk about it. Changed our lives, man. And he talks about he gets that knowing. I don't really get that no more, as far as like step outside and look up. Like it's not that clear for me anymore. Like it was at first. There was a lot of it, but he gets it now, and he walks outside and they look straight up and they see him, and it's like an inner knowing, hey, go outside and look up, or when you go to your car, look up. And every time he does, like he always sees them.
Definitely. Really cool. That's same experiences here. And then I'll also tie in to the fact that once I've started realizing that they're there, I started realizing more of the world that was going around me. Like I said, with the synchronicities, things tying in together. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll say something about, the ice cream shop parking lot needs to be fixed the very next or within that week. They had somebody out there surveying it and getting it repaired. Like you said, like, Ted Nugent, came across your feed, and the next thing you're talking to his son. It's like really cool.
And when he was talking,
you notice those things now.
When Rocco was talking a while ago, like he was saying, there was a moment towards the end where I just started smiling, and he wasn't saying nothing profound per se, but to me it was, because I've had this same conversation with 3 or 4 different people in the last 2 weeks in the analogies that we're using, and he said stuff that everything he was saying is stuff that you don't really hear all the time, or maybe since you were little or whatever, and now somebody's echoing that back to you enough to where it gets your attention. And that's what they want to do with synchronicity, is to get your attention. I think even with the ships, I don't see many ships anymore, but it's like, hold on, they still have my attention. Like, I needed to show you the ships. I needed to show you the fleets to get your attention. Now go in through meditation and let's connect, because the more revelation and the deeper you go into it, there's some really interesting stuff that comes. So much so that like, you couldn't even explain it if you wanted to. You couldn't explain it. So we just get pieces of it, and we have fun remembering and waking each other up. But if we tried to really explain it, like, these beings pop it. They're time travelers. They hold the fabric of reality together in this existence. Like, they are the gods, right? They are watching over humanity. They have the ability to do whatever. Like, they are the gods of the Bible. They're not bad. They're good. Like, they're angelic. They're benevolent. Like, they're watching over this experiment, or Earth, whatever this existence is. Goes through its awakening process. Just like a lot of people are awakening within themselves and having spiritual awakenings. When enough people begin to have a similar awakening, well, the collective is waking up. It's not just you anymore. It was just you, until you found out that you're not alone, and there's people all across the globe having the same encounter, wrecking their lives, and now they're more loving, and now they're more caring, and they're you know, and they're facilitating, and they're doing it by many different means. It's not even just stargazing. Like, it is meditation. It is somebody maybe ayahuasca or DMT or whatever, or just, you know, it's different means, but the message is usually the same. Be mindful, enjoy life, don't take things too seriously, hug your son, you know, these kind of things, just to be mindful in the moment. And everything spiritual should reflect that, not to take you out of this existence, but remind you to be lucid in the dream. Hey man, you know, 10 years from now, you're going to wish you had that moment that you missed. You know, time flies, man. And you only, I don't know about reincarnation. I don't know if we come back as something else, as a bug or as a lamp, or I don't know if it was a king in a past life. I do know who I am right here today in this existence, and my voice and my breath and my heartbeat, and I'm here, and I don't need to waste it. And I need to be present and mindful, and not even be even lofty, because spirituality could be an escapism. UFOs are an escapism. I'm telling you, there's people who make up stories in these fields and tell you that they tell you all kinds of stuff. So trying to decipher the truth in the midst of a lot of this stuff is very hard when there's a lot of narratives and a lot of trauma going on. So I appreciate you, you know, bringing what you did and what you do to the table, and where it leads you. And you know, people need what you got. I don't have any videos. I don't have any pictures. I want to, but I don't, you know. So when I was able to see yours, I was like, hey, that's awesome, because I've seen a lot of similar stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. I don't know if you can edit out my voice in it. My voice sounds ridiculous in the video, but I'll tag your name in the original video. And I don't know if like sometimes when I upload stuff on Facebook, it's not like the actual high definition. So maybe like I'll send it through Messenger. But and then
use something like WeTransfer or something, and you can just upload the raw files, even if they're still on your phone or your computer or whatever. So you can use WeTransfer to send large files. Send them to me, or if you want to upload them to something else. But I'll take a look at them. I do video editing as well, but I'm not an expert of like. Obviously, I can slow stuff down. I can put like a, you know, make it just black and white. You know, you can do, there's so much that you can do. I guess what the so-called experts are going to do, like I can do it, I guess. So, yeah, send them to me. I'd love to take a look at it.
Yeah, I think my iPhone just got this update where I can record the screen. So I didn't know that before, but yeah, before I was sitting there like going, like trying to scrub through it, click a screenshot, go a little bit further, click a screenshot, but now I can just record the whole thing and just move my thumb really slowly.
Yeah, I mean, doing that and even just uploading it to YouTube, you know what I'm saying, the raw footage, and just name it UFO sighting, and boom, you're like, people are looking, and when they find the footage, like, oh wow, I seen something similar. And that's how we evolve. Like, it's how, like, I've seen so many things. I've seen like big triangle ships and stuff that looks like stingrays. Like, I've seen all kind of, dude, like I told you, I've seen fleets, you know, the bars, they light, and then the bar, then they disappear, and so much stuff that, yeah, we need everybody's input. You know, we need all the footage, you know, because the government's not going to tell you what it is. You got to make an assessment. You got to be able to figure it out yourself. So
definitely.
All right, brother. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here, man. Thanks for hanging out, and you're welcome to join anytime we do a podcast and go live, man. But thanks so much for coming on and sharing with me, and we got to get connected. Get you in my Discord too. I know you said you didn't know what Discord was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's a chat app with you can send pictures and videos and stuff on there. It's just a chat app, like its own little kind of social media thing or whatever. But I'll send you a link to check it out. If people want to contact you, if they have stories and they resonate with what you're sharing, are you open for people to message you and things like that? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you know, just finding out with the CE5 initiative. I made my own CE5 Detroit group. So if you want to touch base with me there, that they can. I just changed the group name. It's facebook.com/groups/CE5 Detroit.
And you're the admin of that group?
Yes.
All right, Nathan is who you're looking out for. All right, man.
Yes,
enjoyed it, brother, and we'll connect again. Thanks so much for hanging out, man.
Yeah, by the way, this is like, really cool. I got to actually talk to you in real life and
heck yeah, dude.
talk to you on your show. It's really cool to, really nice meeting you. You're a real cool guy.
Thank you, man. I'm glad that you resonate with the podcast and the music and the book and all that. Listen, I'm like you. I'm no different. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure this stuff out myself, and we need each other. So enjoyed it, brother.
Yeah.
We'll
talk
to
you soon. All right, bye-bye.
Peace. All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. A real seeker. Real deal. See, Jordan Maxwell says, one of my teachers, never trust the person who claims to have all the truth, but you can always trust the person who's seeking truth. And you talk about something resonating down to your core, that resonates. Again, we talk about proselytizing, people not sharing their message, but like trying to force their message upon you, force Jesus on you, force religion on you. It don't work, man. Stop it. You ever heard the song by Green Day called When I Come Around? I've heard it all before. Don't knock down my door. Like, listen, when I come around, you're going to know. Like, you can't force anything on anybody, but let people live their life. Time has a way of helping people come around when they come around. People who are seeking versus people who are sharing, people who are trying to force you their truths. It has this weird thing. We kind of got in just a little bit of psychology behind it. Why people do that? Why do Christians do this? Because, the idea that they think they're helping because you're going to hell, so we got to tell you you're not. Or vegans are like, listen, you don't know how awful it is. And when it comes to proselytizing in a movement, there's a joke about vegans. It's like, how do you know somebody's a vegan? Because they tell you. Oh my God, I just found Christ. Oh my God, I just became a vegan. Oh my God. They're gonna tell you, and you're zealous. You become a zealot. The Bible says you have a zeal without knowledge. You're excited, you're ambitious, but it ain't harnessed. It isn't well-rounded or polished, and you're like a pig in a parlor. There's a book on that. You're knocking stuff over. It comes this moment of where you can just be. You don't have to win the conversation. You don't have to win the narrative. A lot of people come on here and I'll share a point or whatever, and then they'll like cut me off or whatever in mid-sentence, and no, that's not what it is. This is what the truth is. Okay, cool. I understand that's what your truth is, sure, but you don't know me. You don't know the people listening, and you just share, and you be okay with it. Hey, listen, I understand why that you think that's the only way, because that's what's worked. It's because it's what's worked for you, or you just put out a book on it. You're trying to sell books that say this is the only way, right? So, like, what happens when Christians say that there's many ways? Well, they don't have the corner of the market anymore on eternity. Because now you can have Jesus and you can have Buddha. Now you can have Jesus and whatever it is, nothing. So for them it takes away their proselytization. What gospel do they share? A lot of Christian universalists eventually get there. I think in the end, most Christians will become universalists and understand that the power of the gospel in Christ was so strong that there's no way that any soul, any light, any person could resist it, even if they wanted to. So love wins and everybody gets into heaven. Christ died for everybody. Before the foundations of the earth, the Lamb was slain. Before you even knew you were a sinner, like you've already been justified and made whole. Once you understand that, you become like a Christian universalist. Oh yeah, well everybody gets in. So for a lot of people, that idea scares them because, okay, if I'm not saving them from hell, what am I saving them from? The revelation is that you're not saving them from an eternal hell and an eternal damnation. I'm not worried about those people dying and going to hell for eternity anymore. To me, they don't exist. I am worried about the people who are in hell right now. Just like Jesus was, the prostitute, the tax collector, the demon-possessed man. He wasn't studying about that man dying and going to hell. He said, this man is in hell right now. And I have the ability to set him free and get him out of that hell and let him not just get into heaven when he dies, but I have the ability to let heaven get inside of him. And once you understand that, that's the gospel. That's what he did. Jesus was the gospel. It's when like he died, death, burial, resurrection is the gospel. Yeah, that, but his life, what he did, do what he did. Just do what he did. And that's good news. People don't get that. People don't get it. It's that simple. And that's the news that you have to offer. Whether it's proselytizing or it's just simply sharing. Simply sharing. It's good news, people. It's good news. Raquel says, I used to know this vegan girl who says that you can't be a yogi and eat meat, but she got an abortion at Planned Parenthood. I deleted her contact. It's these schisms. It's like, again, you know, we went back to saying like when people project onto you and they say, yeah, you can't be a yogi and eat meat. You didn't know that, right? You say you're a yogi and you're spiritually enlightened, but you're not, because you can't do both at the same time. No, that's the mind blown in your head. Why? What we said earlier, you can't. You can't be a yogi and eat meat. Not me, because I'm showing you. I'm showing you that I'm a yogi, and I'm showing you that I eat meat. And I can show you better than I can tell you. You can't be a yogi and eat meat. Christians can't be into astrology. It's against the Bible. You want to bet? I'm a Christian, and I dig astrology. Like the Bible is full of astrology. The Bible is pure astrology. Astrotheology. The Bible talks about Orion. It talks about the Pleiades. It talks about the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. It talks about the zodiac. It's actually called the Mazzaroth. Like, it doesn't use that word. Again, you got to break the language down and see what is a Mazzaroth. I've never heard that term. Break it down. Oh, it's the zodiac. It's Ezekiel's wheel. It's a wheel inside of a wheel that passes through all the houses. Like, come on. You can't be a Christian and do that. Want to bet? I just did it. You can't be a Christian and cuss me out. Want to bet? I just did it. It's like, you can't, because you got this duality in your head that separates you. No, it's a oneness, and it's beautiful. There's beauty in the blueprint. There's magic in the mayhem. Everything comes together, a conglomerate, and it's a beautiful picture. You got to have gradients. You got to have blacks. You got to have whites. You have some color in there. Life is about contrast. It isn't about hard right or hard left. We talk about this all the time with religion. It's not about your religion or your denomination that is right, because you got a lot of flaws that you need to work on. You got a lot of things that you avoid, you fail to look at, you fail to see, and that's one of your flaws. It's not about your religion. It's not about that religion. It's somewhere in the middle. Politics. It's not about right or left, people. It's somewhere in the middle. The truth is in the middle. That's when the Bible talks about the narrow path of the believer. That there's a narrow path that you must follow. It's the highway of holiness spoke about in the Old Testament. It is narrow. What's that mean? It's not too far left. It's not too far right. There's balance. It's somewhere in the middle. So I'm not touching your disgusting judgments. I rise above it. Illuminati Congo. Awaken says, that's my approach too. I don't care if people take or leave what I say. People can be way too touchy sometimes, though. when I might explain something not common, like I believe in hell, I've been there, right? It's not a negative thing. I'm glad it exists, right? It's the polarity. Like what if you were born in a room or a box or a place where there is no darkness, there's always light. You begin to take that light for granted because it's always there. And there's people in your life too. You take people in your life for granted because they're always there. You've never imagined, you never fathomed them not existing until they're gone. So you don't appreciate that light until somebody turns the light off, or until you sat in darkness. And those who sat in darkness beheld a great light. Someone or something turns that light on for you, and now you're appreciative of something that you took for granted, the light. Or maybe even giving your eyes or your pupils a rest and be sitting in darkness so you can meditate, so you can collect your thoughts. There's so much stimuli. Like, I got to sleep with the lights on. You know, like if you sleep with the lights on, that's not really sleeping. Your body's not all the way going through all the processes of shutting down when you still have light and TVs on in your room and stuff like that. Like, there's science behind that. So you need both. You need darkness. You need light. You need sunlight. You need it all. You're connected. As above, so below. As within, so without. Everything exists for a reason. Everything can claim itself. Everything has the yin and yang. It has the beautiful part and it has the nasty part. But don't judge either or. Don't judge the holy man and give him the thumb up. Because that holy man's a holy man usually for a reason, because he used to do some treacherous stuff. He used to be ruthless. In all these movies, like you see the hero who was like a reformed villain. Negan. You guys know who Negan is? Walking Dead. You don't want to make Negan mad. He's a good guy now. If you ain't caught up. Negan's a good guy. He's reformed. But when somebody pisses Negan off and they hurt women and children, oh my God, you're dead. He's going to kill you. Like, Negan is an OG. He was a villain. He got reformed. He learned the error of his ways, but that beast is still within him. There's sometimes he needs to let the beast come out. Sometimes. It's the yin and the yang. To say that you're reformed and you're not that person anymore. Listen, it's one thing. He's back. Negan's back. You got a Negan inside of you. You have an angel and a demon. You have the higher and the lower nature. Both exist. You have to choose love. You have to choose to walk in the spirit. You have to be mindful. The power exists because you have free will to choose what you want to do with life and how you want to respond. It's awesome. Everything works together for your good. The light and the dark, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. Listen, it's good stuff. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you're sitting in darkness, everything works together for your good. Remember that. Listen, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, Facebook, or the podcasting apps where you're listening to this, make sure you click that subscribe button. Also, click the like and the share. I see it when you share. It touches me when you share. Oh, look, they believe in the work. When you become a patron at any level of giving, look, my words are not falling upon deaf ears. People are getting it. I'm getting messages, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, people reaching out. Listen, it's the good work. We're doing it. I can't do it alone. Thank you guys for believing in me, in this message, in this walk, in this path. Thank you for partnering and joining on Patreon and buying my book and listening to my music. I'm putting out a lot of music right now. There's like a bunch of new stuff coming out. Most of it's on YouTube. White Magic is about to drop. Doing autographed copies now at TruthSeekah.com. A little goes a long way, especially when we got thousands of people who support and they just do different things. And obviously everybody can't give money, Some people can pray for you. Some people can click share. Every time you go live, they're the first ones to click share. Boom, boom, boom. Look, I see you, man. I see you. Thank you. Thank you. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. We're going to do it again. Tomorrow's Thursday. Listen, we got another talk. Do you guys want to know who it is? Just so you know what the next episode is. Just so you'll know what's coming up next. Let me pull this calendar up and just look at it right quick, because I know we got somebody tomorrow. Michael Goddard. Listen, tomorrow we're going to be talking about a guy who has mastered the now moment. The beauty of the now moment. Kind of like Eckhart Tolle, right? But what is that? It's everything we talked about tonight. Remembering, be alive in the now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. You're living in the past, sir. You got some beautiful ideas for the future, but you're not making any impact now. Bring both of those to the moment where fusion happens. So this guy, Michael Goddard, is going to be talking about the beauty of the now moment. Also, a lot of this stuff came to him through past life regressions. Figuring out who he was in past lives. I think he says he had 18 past lives. Interesting. You guys know I'm a skeptic. I'm going to treat him with love, honor, and respect. And hopefully there's some proofs. Hopefully he makes me out a believer. Because that would be really cool to know that you have the ability to choose to come back if you like. Not that I want to, or if I ever would. But just to know that these other people aren't lying to me on my podcast. I love you guys. We'll do it again very soon. Peace and shalom. Later.
Your will so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.